Privacy, Jay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have a few minutes, and I hope, I'm sure that many of you have a question to raise with Jay. Please bear in mind and help me out here. You know that he's my boss. So it will be extremely challenging for me to ask him any difficult question, which you know I will. If necessary, but help me out, please. So put your hand up and raise questions.
Are you asking them to ask me difficult questions?
No,
or
no.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm clarifying what you're saying.
First question? No? While you think about it, please seriously, as an opportunity. Frankly, you know, Jay, I worked with Jay for only a short spell of time, but his idea and his thought process about transit and transit operation is profound, and it's something that we can learn a little bit from the ex-Harvard professor. You know, it's useful. So Jay, while the audience is thinking, let me just ask you a question. You mentioned the three-legged stool, and you touch about operational excellence and personalized service and sustainability. As you know, when we deliver service, the better the service you deliver, the greater the demand of people wanting to use your service. How do you manage the expectation about service in terms of when you are operating an ever-increasing capacity issue for the railway? You saw it in London, you saw it in Hong Kong now, and probably you've seen it in New York. Operators around the world face this challenge to get its asset to work as hard as it can. Maybe you'd like to share your view on that.
Yeah, look, I think this is a fantastic question, and it is, as you know, and Jacob Kem is here, our operations director. It's an issue that he talks about all the time, because we are now operating our railway effectively in near capacity operations over a huge portion of what we have. We stood up, actually Jacob stood up yesterday and announced the third phase of what we call our listening and responding program, where one of the things we've been trying to do is to put out more service for customers. And this is the first time that we had to stand up, and Jacob drew the short straw to do this, but stood up and said, there's no more room. We're out of room. And that everything that you're hearing us do is about how we mitigate the impact of having so many people who are there, adding more and more staff. We put 1,000 people, additional people by the end of this year on our station platforms just to be able to do it. 1,000 people on station platforms to be able to help to do that. And again, we're not alone. We're not alone. Other systems around the region, and I've had the pleasure of visiting some other systems around the region and watching what they do in dealing with some of the same situations. So we're not alone in doing that. I don't think there's an easy answer, and I don't think the answer can be that we can let down the quality because we have to deal with near capacity operations. So the edge is getting sharper and sharper for us every day in doing it. I would make one other point, and this is something I will say somewhat sadly, actually. Some of you may have seen reports of a railway in New York, which was in the news this week, called Metro North Railway. It's the second largest commuter railway in the United States, and it happens to be part of the MTA, which I chaired until 2009. Metro North has been widely recognized as one of, if not the top performing railway in the United States. Truly an excellent, excellent railway. But they had a very, very difficult year in 2013. Lives were lost, passengers and their employees, and very, very sad to see the things that have happened. Why do I mention this? Because it's directly relevant to the question that TC is raising. The report that has come out this week from the Federal Railway Administration has said two things that are concerning. One is that their focus on-time performance overshadowed their focus on safety. And they became too committed to their on-time performance at any cost. And second, that the dramatic increase in patronage, which took place as a result in part of the fact that they had better and better service and they were supporting the community even more. This increase in patronage that took place may well have contributed to some of the loss of focus on safety as well. So in saying this, when we talk about serving customers and in everything I said, I don't want to lose the word safety in there. Because if we in any way give any impression that safety still does not stand paramount for us, then we are making a huge, huge mistake. And again, I highlight the Metro North example because it's come out publicly right now, but I will tell you for our corporation, and I'm sure for everyone, it's a message that comes across to me, not in terms of Metro North, but in terms of MTR, about dealing with exactly the challenge that you're talking about.
Thank you very much. I understand there's a question there for Franco. I'll come to you in a minute. Can you highlight your name and your affiliation, please, before you raise the question? Thank you.
Okay, Albert Young from the University of Hong Kong. Jay, I think now sustainability become a big issue now worldwide. As you may know, there's a conference in Shanghai in about 2 months' time. And in your talk, I catch an important part of it. You talk about financial sustainability. But that may be only one of the 3 bottom lines of it, because we talk about environment, development, and economics. So I wonder, what is MTR doing now in terms of a systematic assessment for the sustainability of your infrastructure? As you may realize, in North America, they have tools to do it now, like e-vision, whatsoever. So I just want to see what MTR is doing for the time being.
Again, question's incredibly well placed. I mean, I focused on financial sustainability, but you're exactly right that the environmental sustainability, for example, comes right alongside of that. And indeed, one of the points I would make is that if you take it in the broader context of Hong Kong, to use this example, our ability to provide a better and better railway, and our ability to provide a railway that's more and more tightly connected with the communities of Hong Kong is the single most important thing that we can do. Because what that does is get more people on the railway. What that does is reduce the level of emissions that are taking place from road vehicles. And so I mentioned before, Hong Kong has the highest use of public transport anywhere in the world. That's true. I didn't mention the second statistic, by the way, which may be even more important. I probably should have, which is that Hong Kong has the lowest emissions from road vehicles of any city in the world today. Now, I think that's the first and foremost thing that we have to do. The second thing that we have to do and that we challenge ourselves on is looking at every aspect of our railway to ensure that we are being as environmentally friendly as we can. And actually, in MTR's context, we're not just looking at our railway, we're looking at a railway and property together. How we see our railway, how we see our building standards and everything coming together to be able to do that. An enormous amount of work has been going on, for example, on questions like regenerating power and the way in which we're able to do it, reducing our consumption. We have regular discussions in our organization, fact-based discussions about our consumption of electricity, our consumption of water, and the way in which we're doing other things, and the standards that we're putting out. Finally, I think there's aspects of this that go directly to the way you just operate on a day-to-day basis. And I'll give an example that's a little bit outside of railways, but is an MTR example. We're very proud of working with government through our shopping malls and our residential complexes in terms of the reduction of food waste. One of the big issues for Hong Kong today is capacity in terms of landfills and waste and the way in which that's being dealt with. And one of the things that we're trying to take the forefront of is to be able to show that we can do things that are actually very much environmentally friendly, consistent with those objectives to be able to do that. So you're seeing very much in our case a very corporate approach. The railway's at the heart and soul of that, but all the aspects of the things that we're doing fit in with that as well.
Thank you. Franco? State your affiliation, please.
Okay, Franco Bernie and GE. Jay, unfortunately, it seems to be a given that railways can't raise the revenue to run themselves by the fare box. It seems to be accepted worldwide. So in Hong Kong we've got one answer, or part of the answer is the property development. But as you said in your speech, this is not suitable for every other railway. I know that the MTR has got other ways of raising revenue, like international business. Could you share with us what the impact of that is, say, compared to the rail plus property? Because until we get the world where people will pay for what a ticket is worth, like an airline ticket, like everything else, we're going to have to look for alternative revenue means. So how's it going with the international business as an impact on the revenue required?
Well, again, thank you. I mean, I think it's a couple of things I'd say about it. First off, by the way, the revenue streams that MTR has sought to develop are not just property development, and I probably shortchanged this a little bit. We have now a very large and robust commercial business in our stations, 1,336, is that the right number, Jacob? I think 1,336 shops in our stations, an advertising business, a telecommunications business. If you look at our results that just came out this week or last week, they made a contribution of $4.6 billion in our revenue and $4.1 billion in EBITDA, so very, very significant. We have a property rental and management business, and we operate in Hong Kong, not just that one mall that I mentioned at our offices, but we operate 13 shopping malls across Hong Kong, some of which are some of the largest shopping malls in Hong Kong, and again, that property rental business. And the reason why I mention those is that they are recurrent revenue streams in doing it. I think recurrent revenue streams, not subject to peaks and troughs in the property market in quite the same way, are more consistent with the kind of business that we have, where we have to run a consistent business over a period of time. But we've also taken a decision, and we've made a decision to try to work overseas and to accelerate what we're doing. And I'd ask you, if you think about that, to step back just a little while ago. Just 10 years ago, MTR was solely focused in Hong Kong. We were achieving very, very good performance, and there was a question about whether or not we could take what we were doing here in Hong Kong and bring it into other environments. Could we bring it to the mainland of China? Could we bring it to Western environments? Could we bring it to other places in Asia to be able to do this? What I'm happy to say is, as we sit here in 2014, we've now answered that question, and I think we've answered it very, very well. What we're seeing is that our businesses in the mainland of China and overseas, and we're now operating in 4 cities in the mainland of China, 3 on railway, and 1 additional city on property. We're operating in Australia, in Stockholm, and in London. What we're showing is that we can do 2 things, and I'm very happy it's both of those things. One, first and foremost, we're showing that we can operate a very high-level, high-quality service in those places. Not every one of those is 99.9%, and there should be no expectation that they would be. But in Melbourne, for example, we've gone from 87% on-time performance to 94% on-time performance. And I will tell you, from everybody that I've talked to there, including the highest levels of their government, it's noticed what we have done, and I think that's very, very good. In London, we have just won the European Commuter Railway of the Year award for a railway, by the way, that was running with 57% satisfaction before we took it over. So we have shown that we can do this, and this is replicated in the mainland as well, where all of the systems in the mainland actually are running over 99% right now. These railways are also making a real contribution back into our bottom line. And so, the question as to whether or not we can bring both of those together, we're answering, and we think it is very important. So MTR now is continuing to work to try to accelerate what we're doing beyond the places we're working right now. We were very pleased to reach an agreement, preliminary agreement with the government of the state of Victoria in Melbourne for the rebuilding of a rail line, the Dandenong Corridor, as a $2.5 billion PPP project. Fantastic to see that happening. 4 bids underway actively in the UK right now, opening up a new intercity service in Stockholm, between Stockholm and Gothenburg, taking place. bidding for new rail line in Sydney, as well as continuing to bid in the mainland of China for more work. And I'm very excited about that. And they do make a contribution back into what we're doing. I also think they're fantastic development opportunities for us. And I think our staff, by the way, who are working in different places doing it, we're all growing as a result of doing it, and we're showing we can have success, so it's fantastic.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I can take one last question if there is a pressing question from the audience. Yes, please.
My name is Leo Mack, former colleague of MTRC at KCRC, now staff of MMC Gamuda, project delivery partner of Malaysian MRT system. I have a question. Jay, you have mentioned very well on this sustainability, which most of us think about environmental aspect of it, but you mentioned about the financial aspect. Actually, one of my friends from Germany triggered my question, which is that they're talking about selling railways over there because they can't find passengers anymore. I think it's a common phenomenon for developed economy that the population is aging, and it's hitting the railway in two fronts. One is the plateauing of the passenger volume, and on the other hand is affecting the property development around the railway. So in terms of the patronage and also the affordability of the high value of land around the railway, which may affect the long-term development and investment of the railway, how MTRC is facing this challenge? Could you shed some light on this? Thanks.
Yeah, I'm going to take your question a little bit to the side because I think there's a really, really important point you mentioned that I want to come to. You know, if you look at our society today, our society is aging. There's no question about that. People are living longer. The statistics in terms of the percentage of the Hong Kong population that will be over 60 in just a little while is a phenomenal number. I mean, it grows exponentially because people are living longer, they're living better lives, and that's fantastic. As someone who's not that far away from 60, I think it's even more fantastic. But I think one of the questions that's been there for us has actually been about how we make our system fit with a society that is in fact growing older. And if you look at our system in 1979, 35 years ago when our system was originally built, we didn't put lifts in our system. That's just not the way it was built. It wasn't within the societal norm, it wasn't within the specification, it wasn't within the desire that was there. Today, that doesn't fit anymore. Today, we have to have a system that in fact fits the needs for mobility for the society that's there, for the people who are there. In fact, we're engaged in a program now of retrofitting lifts in every one of our stations, and I can assure you, and some of my colleagues don't like to hear this, but I can assure you when we finish to the point that we can say we have a lift at every station, that we will be back putting the second and third and fourth lifts in stations, because that's what's actually going to be needed for the society that's there. And what we have to continue to do is to make sure that our railways are relevant to the society that's there and fit with what they need and fit with what that society needs. And that's in the interest of long-term sustainability. It's in the interest of what we all want to have. It's not cheap. It's frustrating to be able to do some of those things. I don't question that. It's hard work, but it's enormously important that we find a way to continue to make our railways evolve and change consistent with the changes that are happening in society. I think Europe has gone through this a little bit before Asia in terms of watching the society change, and I think we have to learn some lessons out of that in the way that we're doing things. But we'll do it, and I'm sure the same will be told in other places around the region as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Jay. Ladies and gentlemen, can we show our usual expression of appreciation to Jay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rudy has